The diner smelled of frying oil and fresh coffee, a comforting scent for most, but for Ethan Ross, it was something more. It was familiar, humble, real. He hadn't set foot in a place like this in years. Not since before he became one of the youngest billionaires in the country. Today, he wasn't Ethan Ross, CEO of a global tech empire. He was just Ethan, wearing a worn leather jacket, a simple shirt, and jeans. No one recognized him, and that's exactly how he wanted it. He was in the small town of Willow Creek to secretly review a local franchise he was considering investing in, $250 million on the line. He took a seat by the window. The waitress, a tired-looking woman in her 40s, barely glanced at him. "What'll it be?" she asked flatly, chewing gum. Ethan smiled kindly. "Just a small order of fries and a black coffee, please." She raised a brow. "That's it?" "Yeah," he said softly. "Not too hungry." Her smirk was audible in her tone. "Guess money's tight, huh?" A few nearby customers chuckled. A group of young men in business suits at the next booth laughed under their breath. One of them, with slicked back hair and a loud voice, said, "Maybe save up for the large fries next time, pal." Ethan looked down, still smiling faintly. "Maybe." The waitress plunked his fries on the table, grease seeping through the paper. "Don't forget the tip," she said sarcastically before walking off. He watched her go, then looked around the diner. The young busboy, no older than 19, was hustling between tables, clearing dishes and refilling water. Ethan noticed how carefully the boy smiled at every customer, even when no one looked at him. When the boy came by Ethan's table, he said politely, "Sir, would you like me to bring some ketchup?" Ethan looked up, touched by the simple kindness. "That would be great. Thank you." The boy nodded. "Coming right up." Minutes later, he returned not only with ketchup but also a small bowl of freshly made fries. "These just came out of the fryer," he said. "The batch you got looked a little cold." Ethan's eyes softened. "You didn't have to do that." The boy shrugged. "My mom says, treat everyone like they matter, even if they're just having small fries." Ethan smiled. "That's good advice." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a crisp $100 bill, and tucked it into the boy's apron pocket. "For your mom's advice." The boy's eyes widened. "Sir, I can't." "Keep it," Ethan interrupted gently. "You just reminded me why I started my first business." As Ethan finished his coffee, the waitress passed again. "You done with that? Or should I bring the check, Mr. Small Fries?" she mocked. He nodded calmly. "Yes, please. And could you tell your manager I'd like a quick word before I leave?" She rolled her eyes but did as he asked. Moments later, the manager approached, adjusting his tie nervously. "Sir, I heard you wanted to speak to me." Ethan reached into his jacket and handed him a business card. "Ethan Ross, Ross Enterprises." The man froze. The name alone carried weight. Ross Enterprises was the global conglomerate known for its billion-dollar investments. The color drained from his face. Ethan continued, his tone even but firm. "I was here today to evaluate this franchise for a potential investment. A $250 million expansion, to be exact." He paused, letting the words sink in. "But after what I've seen, the mockery, the lack of basic respect for your customers, I'll be moving on." The diner went silent. The waitress stood frozen, her mouth open. The business-suited men who'd mocked him earlier suddenly looked very small in their corner booth. Ethan placed a generous tip on the table, then looked toward the young busboy. "Son," he said warmly, "if you're ever in the city, come by Ross Enterprises. Ask for me personally." The boy blinked, speechless. "You mean it?" Ethan smiled. "People who lead with kindness always have a place in my company." With that, he walked out, no anger, no regret, just quiet conviction. Behind him, the diner buzzed with whispers. The waitress stood still, eyes watering. And the boy, clutching that $100 bill, looked out the window at the man disappearing into the morning light, changed forever by what real success looked like.